You notice everything, don't you? The shift in someone's tone, the hidden sadness in a smile, the way people say, "I'm fine," but their eyes whisper otherwise. You feel things deeply, but speak little because every time you've tried, they've said you're too intense, too much, too quiet, too different. And slowly, you learn to keep your thoughts to yourself, not because you don't care, but because the world rarely listens the way you do, my friend. If you've ever wondered why your mind races when others rest, why you long for depth when others settle for noise, why you often feel disconnected in a room full of people, then this video is for you. Today, we're gently exploring why intelligent minds often walk a lonelier path, why the gift of perception can sometimes feel like a burden, and how understanding this can bring not isolation, but peace. So take a deep breath, sit with me in this quiet space of thought, and if you find even a small reflection of yourself here, consider subscribing, because here at Hidden Minds, your thoughts are not too much. They're exactly what this world needs. My dear friends, there is a certain kind of loneliness that doesn't come from the absence of people, but from the absence of understanding. If you've ever sat in a group, nodding and smiling, while your mind wandered into questions no one around you was even asking, then you already know this kind of silence. It's the silence of a thoughtful soul in a noisy world. Intelligent people often feel lonely, not because they don't have company, but because they crave connection. Not just conversation. Their minds are wired to think deeply, to analyze meaning, to find patterns even in chaos. And this depth, though beautiful, creates distance. While most are content with small talk, they long for substance, and when that substance is missing, a quiet ache settles in, a kind of emotional hunger that no crowd can satisfy. My dear friends, many smart people are naturally introspective. They spend hours thinking, reflecting, processing emotions, situations, possibilities. And while this gives them insight and wisdom, it also means they live in their heads far more than in their surroundings. They can be physically present, yet mentally galaxies away. And when the world around doesn't engage them at that depth, the disconnect widens. Have you ever had a thought so profound, but held it back because you knew it would be misunderstood? Have you ever laughed less, not because you're unhappy, but because the humor around you felt hollow? If yes, then you felt the weight of being too aware in a world that prefers surface. My dear friends, another reason why intelligent people often feel lonely is because of their sensitivity. With intellect often comes emotional depth. They pick up on subtle energy, unspoken emotions, silent disappointments, and even hidden intentions. They're not just listening to words, they're reading beneath them. And this makes ordinary social interactions exhausting. While others can ignore the tension in the room, they feel it as pressure in their chest. While others forget a harsh comment, they replay it for days, analyzing every tone and pause. And this emotional overload often leads them to withdraw, not because they're antisocial, but because they need time to recover from the weight of what they absorb. My dear friends, their standards in relationships are also higher, not in an arrogant way, but in the sense that they seek authenticity. They don't just want people around them, they want people who truly see them, who understand the layers behind their words. And in a world where fast-paced, surface-level interaction is the norm, this longing often remains unmet. They give a lot in friendships, they care deeply, they think about others even in their absence. But when that effort is not reciprocated with the same emotional presence, it leaves them feeling unseen. And slowly, they begin to retreat into the safe walls of their mind, where they're not judged for being too much, but accepted for being whole. My dear friends, finally, intelligent individuals often ask the kind of questions that unsettle people. They wonder about purpose, mortality, injustice, consciousness, and other topics that many shy away from. And when they try to bring these into casual conversations, they're often met with discomfort or dismissal. So they stop sharing, and in that silence, loneliness takes root. Not the kind that seeks noise, but the kind that longs for resonance. It's not about having someone to talk to, it's about having someone who hears you, not just your voice, but your essence. And when that is missing, even the most brilliant mind can feel painfully alone. My dear friends, when a brilliant mind lives in quiet isolation, The damage doesn't always appear on the surface. It hides behind polite smiles, unfinished messages, and quiet nights where the ceiling becomes a companion. Over time, loneliness begins to whisper lies. It tells them they're too different, too complicated to be loved, too deep to be understood. And these lies, when repeated long enough, start to feel like truth. What was once a strength, their intellect, now becomes the very wall that keeps them apart. They begin to believe that maybe silence is safer than rejection, that maybe being unseen is better than being misjudged. And slowly, they withdraw, not out of arrogance, but out of quiet despair. My dear friends, emotional disconnection chips away at self-worth. When you feel like no one really understands your thoughts, your questions, your way of seeing the world, you start to doubt the value of those thoughts. Even the most confident person can crumble when their mind has no space to stretch. Imagine having a song in your heart, but no one willing to listen. Imagine carrying beauty in your words, but constantly having to water them down to be accepted. This repetitive shrinking of the self creates emotional numbness. It's not that they don't feel, it's that they feel too much and have nowhere safe to place it. So they store it within until it becomes a storm. My dear friends, this loneliness also impacts their ability to form stable relationships. They may appear distant, aloof, or uninterested, but inside they're aching for someone to see them, really to see them. But when that need is unmet again and again, they start building emotional armor. They smile more, but trust less. They talk more, but share less. And what's dangerous is that the world often praises them for their independence, not knowing that this independence was born out of disappointment, not choice. Intelligent people are often labeled as strong because they don't show their cracks. But beneath that strength is often a sea of longing that has nowhere to go. My dear friends, mental health quietly suffers under this emotional weight. Prolonged loneliness leads to overthinking, insomnia, anxiety, and in some cases, depression. They might stay up analyzing why they can't connect like others do, questioning if something is wrong with them. They may excel in careers, be admired for their talents, but deep down feel emotionally homeless, like there's no place in the world where they truly belong. And this internal fragmentation, this sense of being out of sync with the world, creates exhaustion that no amount of rest can fix, because it's not physical tiredness, it's soul tiredness. My dear friends, even their creativity begins to dim when you have no one to share your ideas with, no one to challenge or expand your thoughts. Your inner world starts to shrink. Many bright minds give up on expressing themselves because the silence that follows is louder than any applause. Their notebooks remain full but unpublished. Their insights stay trapped in thoughts that never become words. And all of this creates a quiet suffering that often goes unnoticed by others, but is deeply felt by the one carrying it. If you've ever felt this, even slightly, know that you're not broken, you're just waiting for the right space to unfold. And here at Hidden Minds, we honor that space. So my dear friends, if any part of this touched your heart, consider subscribing, because this channel isn't just about psychology, it's about finally feeling seen. And if you've been silently walking through life, feeling like no one gets it, maybe this is the place where you don't have to explain yourself anymore. My dear friends, the first step toward healing from this quiet loneliness is to understand that your depth is not a defect. It's a gift. You were never meant to fit into shallow spaces. Your thoughts, your sensitivity, your observations, they are rare, and rare things are often misunderstood, but they are also the most valuable. Begin by honoring your own mind. Stop dimming your thoughts to make others comfortable, because your light was never meant to be hidden. Find spaces, even if they are few, where your mind can stretch without apology, where you don't have to shrink to belong, where your silence is respected as much as your words. My dear friends, seek out people, not crowds. Connection doesn't need numbers, it needs depth. Find the one friend who listens without fixing, who doesn't get uncomfortable when you go deep. Maybe they're not in your immediate circle. Maybe they're online, in books, in communities that value reflection and thought. The internet, for all its noise, holds corners of stillness where minds like yours gather. Speak your truth there, without the fear of being too much. And when you do find those rare souls who meet you at your depth, cherish them. Open up slowly but fully, because vulnerability, when placed in the right hands, becomes the bridge that ends loneliness. My dear friends, it's also important to create, even when no one is listening. Write your thoughts, paint your emotions, speak your truths, not for validation, but for liberation. Your inner world needs expression, not approval. The more you allow your thoughts to exist outside your head, the less trapped you will feel. Creation is communication with the universe, and sometimes what you create reaches someone else who's been silently waiting to hear what you had to say. And in that moment, your loneliness becomes someone else's comfort. And that is how connection begins. Not with noise, but with honesty. My dear friends, learn to embrace solitude without letting it turn into isolation. There's a difference. Solitude is when you enjoy your own company, grow within it, heal in it. Isolation is when you disconnect from the world out of fear or disappointment. Set gentle boundaries with both. Go out into the world when your soul needs warmth. Return to yourself when it needs quiet. Balance is the key. Don't overexpose your heart, but don't lock it away either. The world needs minds like yours, but more importantly, you need the world too. In small doses, in kind places, at your own pace, my dear friends. Most of all, remember this. Being different is not the cause of your loneliness. Denying your difference is. You don't have to dilute who you are to find belonging. The right people, the ones who matter, will never ask you to be less. They'll meet you exactly where you are, in all your depth, your stillness, your fire, and until they find you, be that person for yourself. Offer your own mind the kindness it has long searched for in others. Speak gently to it. Rest it when it's tired. Celebrate it when it glows. And remember, the path of intelligence may be quieter, but it is never empty, not when you walk it awake. My dear friends, if you've ever looked around and felt like no one truly sees you, if you've ever felt like your thoughts echo in rooms that were never built to hold them, then please know, you are not alone, not here, not anymore. Your quiet strength, your deep mind, your gentle heart, they matter more than the world may ever admit. But here, within this space, they are honored, not hidden. You are not too much. You are just waiting to be met by those who understand the language of stillness, the poetry and pause, and the meaning behind what is never said aloud. And if your soul whispered yes to any of this, then let this channel be your quiet corner in the noise, a place where your thoughts are welcomed, where your mind is not asked to be less. And if that feels like something worth returning to, then consider staying. Subscribe not just for the next video, but for a journey where you never have to walk alone again. Because here at Hidden Minds, you are not unseen, you are understood.